I used holographic breathing for working with energies in sacred sites and on ley lines, and I'd never been taught how to do that. You know, I was traveling the Ridgeway. I live in a van, and I was traveling the Ridgeway and living along the Ridgeway, and there's sacred sites all along it. So I'd often be parked up next to sacred sites, and because I do holographic breathing, I would just go and sit in the circles or whatever it was, and the energies would start working. And it's not like doing magic or anything like that. It's the same as a healing session or just listening, because holographic breathing interacts and connects up through your whole body. It also holographically works with nature and the heavens, and the spirits in the earth would start rising, and it's just a case of listening with them and being with them, and then it all starts kicking off and different things arrive, and then generally when I'm doing it, the earth spirits will grow and grow, and then after a while they will connect with the higher energies, and you get a bright white energy coming through. And that's how I worked with it. And it was very powerful. At least for me, it was very powerful. And lots of times it looked like a bit like a Spielberg film going off to me. I wasn't expecting it at all, the potencies of these energies that were coming up. And it did seem a bit of a shame. I mean, I'm not sure how true it is, but my feeling is that people think they need to learn how to be a shaman, or to be a druid, or to be a witch, or to learn a special language and spells or something like that to work with sacred sites or sacred energies or earth energies. And the message I was receiving from the earth was to let people know that that isn't so. You can just sit and breathe and be with the earth and listen, and a communication and a dialogue starts happening. You don't have to do anything special. It's totally natural and totally normal. So if anything in this webinar that I would like to impart, it is that you can just sit and be with these energies. You don't have to have a special training, and if you want to do that as well, great. And also holographic breathing, that is what I use, and that's what we'll be using in this to connect with the energies at Chequers. And you can use holographic breathing, for me, with any sacred circle. Some people may feel they want some kind of protection. They think, oh, what about nasty energies or bad energies or something like that. I mean, I was a bit concerned with that at the beginning because I didn't know what I was getting involved in, but after a while I really did just start coming to the conclusion that most of this was my own fears of different energies, or things that I was scared of in myself, or often earth energies have a dark and powerful energy to them. You know, higher energies, spiritual energies, they're much whiter, lighter energies, and a lot of earth energies are potent, strong, and people may be a bit adverse to feeling earth energies, in the same way that sometimes people are a bit adverse to feeling their own lower energies or their sexual energies, or that area has become taboo. So for me, I realized after a while that a lot of that was my fear. And these potent and for me really quite vivid earth energies, when you work with them, after a while they do connect with their counterpart in the heavenly energies. And then they're not so quite dark and potent, they are connecting right through, but they're like us. We have our power, we have our lower energies, and it's a bit out of balance to be continually going towards the light. You also have to go towards the earth and your roots. It's about a bit like a tree growing without any roots. It will just fall over. The deeper you can connect into the earth, the more grounding you have for the spiritual energies, and one without the other doesn't work. For me, you don't really just get spiritual energies or just get earth energies. It's an interplay that we get between them. And if you remove one, you remove the other. So often, again, this is probably a judgment on my side, quite often in spiritual circles, it is going for the divine or enlightenment or the higher energies. And very particularly, I'm just going to change my screen a bit. 1 second. Very definitely, when we're working with earth energies, we are basically starting off with the lower energies. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to invoke higher energies, invoke lower energies. You just sit and be with that earth and breathe with the earth. And these energies start to transpire and start to communicate and evolve, and at a certain point the light comes down. And that isn't the goal, the light coming down, but with me it is nearly always initiated from the lower energies. They start working first, and that gradually builds up until it receives the light. And I think in my first initiation into that, that was very powerful. And I was just parked up. It's such a weird name, I can't even say it, but it's this crescent-shaped circle in the woods in the Ridgeway. I find it a very potent site next to East Hendreds, it's called. And I didn't know it before, but this was a massive burial mound before. And farmers had come and excavated it because for centuries people had been burying people into the parameters of it, and obviously there were people buried in it. So the soil was very rich, and the local farmer came and nicked most of this huge burial mound to spread on his fields, and they were driving in with tractors, and it made, in the end, made this natural round auditorium which had its energy of its own. It was still a very powerful energy thing, but the new shape it made was still geometrically powerful. And I was just sitting at the back of the ridge, just doing holographic breathing. These very strong earth energies came up, and I thought, oh, I don't know about this at all. I was a bit like, oh no. But after a while I got used to these, that they weren't bad or wrong. They were just strong and of the earth. And as I described, this whole thing went off, and then the light came in, and then it became at that time much easier for me. Now I'm happy with both, but with the light it just helped. And what it felt like, not like just people and kings and queens, like local dignitaries, were all just rising up and connecting back home. And I didn't realize, that was just in my mind. I can just see all these people getting a proper connection back. And then it was interesting for me to find out later what had happened there. And that people report a lot of ghosts or lost spirits or something like that, or the spirits were angry that their graves had been dug up and spread over the fields. And by me just listening, it's not like I'm doing something for an outcome, just listening and allow it to happen. It did seem like these energies going home. So that may or may not be imagination, but I didn't know the history of it, and that was so. And then the next, not maybe the next night, but a couple of nights, at least within a couple of nights, I'd travelled on, and I was parked under a really large, it was a dead oak tree, and all of these crows came and landed, because the crows will circle or travel at that time. They all landed in this oak tree, and there were like hundreds of them. And because my van was on top of it, all these crows came down onto the top of the van, and I'm sleeping or lying above the driver's seat, so the roof is just above my head, and it's just thin glass fibre with a bit of insulation. And all of these crows are tapping and stamping. They're making this huge racket on my roof, and this whole crow energy is going off. I mean, it was a massive crow energy. They didn't know I was there, but obviously I'm only a foot away from them. And then at a certain point, they just lifted and went. And the crow is the messenger, I think, between here and the other side. I think there's something to do with the spirits going across. So whether that was just a coincidence, I don't know, but I put that together as one experience that kind of validated what I was doing. And I just worked after that. I worked with all the sites along the Ridgeway and the Ridgeway energy, and I'd lived on the Ridgeway for a long time, and I became my own tutor on it. And often there were things I thought, oh, this is a bit iffy or a little bit scary. But the more time, if I just stayed with it and worked with those energies, I would find it was my interpretation of that energy, or my fear of that energy. And I'm not going to go into this as saying I know what I'm doing, because I don't. And I'm just going to show you the way I do it, and you can try that for yourself. But I am not responsible for you on that path, and I'm not taking responsibility for you. I'm just teaching what I know with the best integrity that I know. I'm not a shaman or a recognized shaman or been taught this. And at Chequers, now we were going to learn holographic breathing, but I've started on something and we're just going to talk this out. At Chequers, I would go then. I didn't even know that I was next to Chequers. I just found, because I'd lost all my money. I lost my health to Lyme's disease, and then I made a bad investment and I lost my home and all my savings, and I ended up living in a van, and all I really had was holographic breathing and just traveling around. But it took me on a journey of learning, it's a very potent journey, just living in a van on the earth and traveling the Ridgeway and working with these different energies. And I'll go up to this little dell which was next to Chequers, and I'd be recording holographic breathing videos. And I got to tell you, the energy in this dell was fantastic, and it totally had that feeling of a strong or major or very potent healing circle. There's no stones or any markings of anything there, but just go in there and sit and do breathe, and it was potent. And when I'm speaking in this way, doing webinars, or when I'm just or at that time when I was recording videos about holographic breathing, I'd start speaking and then a channel would come through, and it would get really quite bright. And because there weren't, like here, there's people, so it's more grounded. But when I'm just speaking to a video, then it can get quite high quite quickly. It's just grounded through me. So I think that was also activating the energies in this dell, that energy coming into it was just slowly bringing it to life. And the energy of the dell was very reminiscent to me. It just felt like the Ridgeway, because I'd lived on the Ridgeway. I knew it was close. And then I was just sitting there meditating, and it just came to me, I am actually on the Ridgeway. It's actually going straight through the van and straight through this dell. And by then I knew where Chequers was. It's just across the road, and you could feel this energy going off through Chequers. I was thinking, that's the Ridgeway. The energy travelling through here is the Ridgeway. And it's connecting up through Chequers, and it's very potent energy. And I was quite annoyed because the route people say that the Ridgeway travels about half a mile back. And I thought, it's not like you have to divine the energies of the Ridgeway to know where the energies of the Ridgeway are. It's very clear. It is a physical ridge. So all you have to do is find the ridge, and then you know where it is. And it was very clear where I was. You could it followed the road down in an arc. You could see the ridge there. It would come down. The dell was like a hole in the ridge, and then it would carry on across the road. It go in front of Chequers, then up to Beacon Hill. There are two hills. There's Coombe Hill up there, and it comes straight down through the dell in an arc, goes straight through the dell, through Chequers, and up to Beacon Hill there. And that started my investigation into Chequers, because I was livid, to be honest. I was as mad as hell. I'd travelled the whole Ridgeway, and the whole Ridgeway is a sacred site. It's a 6,000-year-old pilgrimage route where people would walk through all of these sacred sites, including Avebury, including the Uffington White Horse, including Stonehenge. It also continued through the Michael and Mary ley line across the whole of England. And the Ridgeway part is available to everyone. It's a right of way to everyone. And at Chequers, they're denied that right and told a lie. As far as I was concerned, told a lie. Told everybody that it is half a mile back from where it was. So one, there was great, I'm on the Ridgeway and this energy, and I've got it all to myself because nobody actually knows it's here. And two, it was like, how dare they? How dare only one person in the country have access to the Ridgeway here? And what has it done to the energies of the Ridgeway? Because the Ridgeway gets a lot of its energy from people walking it and this pilgrimage route for thousands of years. I mean, known 6,000 years, and probably a long time before that, because people would park up and live where they could defend and where there was water. Beacon Hill and Coombe Hill are the highest hills in the area. There's water on Beacon Hill. There's water exactly where Chequers is. And I can feel the energies up in Beacon Hill where the ancient village was, up there. So this would have been walked and worked for a long time. And for me, what transpired is that it is a sacred site. And I will go into the description of that, of how it lit up for me. But first of all, we're going to learn holographic breathing, because that is what I use to work with sacred sites. And then I will show you the pictures of Chequers and the maps of Chequers, so you've got a visualization of what is there. And then I'll describe the initiation, and then we will work with that so people can do that in their own way, and we will be working through that area that is taboo. It's very interesting that the boundaries of Chequers, this site at Chequers has got a male part and a female part to it. It's a tantric site. It's a very particular site, and it's quite special. There aren't tantric sites like this that have got one female pole and one male pole and one female pole, and both have their own connection to the higher self and come together in the shape of a chalice and unite in the middle. Most sites are just a circle, whereas this is a bit more elaborate than that. But Chequers takes up, or the boundary around Chequers takes out the whole female side of that chalice, which is not far different to what has gone on in the realms of power, really. And we will be opening up through that area just by us visualizing and energetically working through that line. We're going to help those energies, I can't say reconnect, because it will be working on its own anyway, but there's a certain magic that goes off when humans work with earth energies and earth lines. So we will be reconnecting that human essence to the energies of the Ridgeway, where it goes through that whole female arc, and reconnecting the whole Ridgeway in that way, because the rest of the Ridgeway is open to everybody and everyone can walk it. So hopefully we are going to aid the energies of that whole process. So, all right, so holographic breathing. There is a gentle and slow motion of the jaw. On the in-breath it's gently opening, on the out-breath it's gently closing, and along with that the lips are closed and the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and lips stay closed all of the time, and the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth all the time, so the breath is through the nose. So to start the holographic breathing, we're going to go through some exercises, and once it starts as a physical thing, it starts as an exercise, but holographic breathing is not an exercise, it's not a visualization, it's a connection to an energy and an innate motion inside of us, and at a certain point it just clicks in and feels totally natural and totally easy, and the more you do it, it will connect to that initial energy and that initial subtle motion that is not just of the jaw, it moves through the face, through the head, through the whole body, and there's a whole energetic matrix that lines up and works through us when it starts working. It is a remembrance rather than a learning. It's as if it's in every cell, or as far as I'm concerned it is in every cell in our body. So we'll be connecting with that. So closing your eyes, and we're first going to connect to our resources, sending a smile sending some energy to the earth, and allow the earth to say hello back. Allow yourself to receive from the earth. Notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And then sending a smile, sending some energy to the higher self, and allow the higher self to say hello back. Allow yourself to receive from the higher self. And notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And asking the earth and the higher self to be with you through this whole webinar as your guide, your resource, your healing energies. Now we're just going to work through some exercises that will lead into holographic breathing. So having the lips closed, gently and relaxed and closed, and breathing through your nose. And then bringing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and it's the upper surface of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and as much as feels comfortable. It may be half an inch, it may be an inch, it may be the whole tongue. However much of the tongue on the roof of the mouth feels comfortable, have that. Upper surface of the tongue, so the tongue isn't turned over in some yoga things. It's not the tip of the tongue as in Tai Chi. It's the flat of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and however much feels comfortable. So it's easy, and gently breathing through your nose and having the jaw relaxed. The lips are relaxed. The tongue is relaxed. And now, keeping the lips gently closed and the tongue gently adhered to the roof of the mouth, start making some little up-down motions of the jaw, a bit like chewing. So the jaw bounces up and down, just a small amount, about half a finger width. This isn't a visualization, it's a physical motion of the jaw. And notice you can keep your lips closed and you can keep your tongue on the roof of the mouth. Now we're going to align that with the breath. The jaw gently relaxing down, and as the jaw relaxes down, the breath comes in through the nose. Then the jaw is closing. The breath comes out through the nose. Notice it feels like a little bellows, the movement of the jaw, bringing the breath in through the nose as it opens. The movement of the jaw is encouraging the breath to come out through the nose as the jaw closes. Notice how this activates the chest and diaphragm. As the jaw drops, it brings the breath in through the nose, and the whole chest and diaphragm open. The jaw closes, the breath comes out through the nose. Relax the back of the neck, relax the back of the head, so it feels like a little pump. Small motion of the jaw, the lips stay relaxed and closed, the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth. And now we're going to change the emphasis. So rather than having the emphasis on the jaw, we're going to have the emphasis on the breath. As you breathe in through the nose, the jaw gently relaxes open. As you breathe out through the nose, the jaw relaxes closed. Notice how the effort suddenly releases from the jaw. It just becomes a function of the breath. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out, the jaw relaxes closed. Notice if the whole emphasis and feel changes as you move from the emphasis on the jaw to the emphasis of the breath. And a lot of energy will start moving through the body at this point. It's good to relax the back of the neck, relax the head and the brain. Let that energy go through. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out, the jaw relaxes closed. So on the in-breath, as the jaw is gently opening, the teeth will separate. On the out-breath, the jaw is coming back together. The teeth, you can either have them just very lightly touching. You don't want any tension there, so it's not like grinding your teeth. They just float together, so they're just gently brushing against each other. Or you can have it so they don't touch at all. So the jaw just stays free. But there's no pressure between the teeth, no clenching, no force. Breathing in, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out, the jaw relaxes closed. And once it's going, we need to take the emphasis way away from the jaw and just allowing it to move with the rest of the body. As you breathe in, the whole chest is opening and the jaw is following. As a function of the chest opening, the jaw opens. As the chest and diaphragm closes, the jaw closes. It's a function of the breath. As you breathe in, the abdomen opens and the jaw opens. As you breathe out, the abdomen closes and the jaw closes. They move together. They breathe together. And down into the pelvis opening out to the sides. As you breathe in, the jaw opens. Breathing out, the pelvis closes, the jaw closes. Pelvis is very important, and in what we're doing today it's important. A lot of these circles to me seem to be like the rim of the pelvis with the rest of the pelvis under the ground. These earth circles for me have a lot to do with this area. Notice how you can feel through your whole body as if every cell is opening on the in-breath and the jaw's following along. Every cell is closing on the out-breath and the jaw is following along with it. And notice that your face and your head and your brain have also started breathing in a very subtle way. Gently breathing. Notice the energies flowing through your body, connecting to the earth and connecting to the higher self. Relax the back of the neck, relax the whole body. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourself to come back. Okay, I'm not sure if people have seen this. I did send this out. This is the basic chalice here at Chequers. Here's a stem. This is also a stem. And this is Chequers here. This is where Chequers house is. Notice the roads around Chequers. They make the same chalice, and that Chequers is pointing pretty well in the same direction. Oh. Okay, there we go. Oh, a bit more. Come on. That's it. Now, in a way, they couldn't have had it straight because this is the center of a valley going this way. This is the lowest point. Chequers is at the lowest point between these two hills. It's not the central point, but it's at the lowest point, which is also an energy point. Then you have the center of the valley, which is also really strong ley line and water energy line. And for me, this is a strong energy point next to Chequers here, where I used to hang out and do the recording without knowing that this whole chalice was here, was in a dell here, which turns out to be dead center in the chalice. You've got the stem here, and then you've got the two halves. This half of the chalice has quite a male quality up to Coombe Hill. This side has a female energy up to Beacon Hill. So you've got a chalice here. You've also got the prayer here. The prayer pointing up towards the church. This is a church at the top here. This is where the site is of where people lived. If you walk into that, it feels like there's a ghost. It's really changed and really get really dark energy, and you can feel it. After a while I was thought, oh my God, what's happening here? And I just realized it's the presence of human beings for thousands and thousands of years, and it's got, I wish it wouldn't do that, it's got a very clear boundary to it. Here, just at this point here, just below where they're joining, there's a gate. This used to be a road. Well, there still is a road for that part of it, but then the road's not there anymore, but it used to be a road. And here there's a gatekeeper's house, and if you take a line perpendicularly from the centre line where the gatekeeper's cottage is there, it lines up exactly with the highest point of Coombe Hill there. There's certain geometric, sacred geometry going on here, and it's a near perfect chalice, the shape of it as well. Let me go on to the next picture. So I don't know how to... Oh, I've done it. Okay, great. Ha 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 ha. This is the boundary of Chequers. It used to be right, the whole top of Beacon Hill was taken out. It used to be that, where that fence is there, around there. So you lost the whole of Beacon Hill. But can you see it? This is the more female side. It's taken out the whole female side of Chequers. This yellow line, this is where we're told the Ridgeway is. Nowhere near the ridge. So you miss out not just the chalice, you miss out the prayer as well if you're walking the actual Ridgeway path. You just expect that you've been told the truth. But actually in this case, no. And because of what Chequers is they're planted trees and tall trees all around, so you can't actually see in from any areas. You can from here, but it's far away. You can't really see what's happening. But but you can see it from Beacon Hill. You can see the chalice shape from Beacon Hill, and it's very few people go on Beacon Hill. The only real place to park is here, and there's only room for 2 cars. Really steep up from all sides around. But this route here, where it goes past Chequers, that's a natural, easy, gentle ridge right up to the top of this beautiful hill. Really powerful on there. For me, it reminds me a bit of Arthurian energy. It really has that beautiful, it's strange that Chequers is here, it has that energy of natural and proper governance. So we'll just trot through some of these pictures so you can get an idea. That's the escarpment, where it's steep, and you can see that also makes a chalice, and suddenly Chequers is lined up. The chalice's Chequers is exactly lined up with that. This is a Beacon Hill. See what a beautiful hill that is? This is where the fence of Chequers goes, and all along this tree line here. So you lose this area. There's Chequers from the top of Coombe Hill. Ridgeway, this is the top of the Ridgeway through here. There it is, Chequers and Beacon Hill from Coombe Hill. There's the Ridgeway. There's the boundary. That's the other way. That's from Beacon Hill up to Chequers. You see that different quality to Beacon Hill from Coombe Hill? It's a more male hill. There's the chalice from Beacon Hill, or the cup of the chalice. That's where it joins at the top. The fence comes across here, and that's Chequers land. There's a gate there for the Prime Minister to walk on, or a stile in the gate, so the Prime Minister would come on. On this side it says private no entry terrorist act, so you can't go through there. And the police there have got machine guns. I've met them. They came and searched my van. It's not a good idea to go over the fence. Oh, there's the fence. See, it's long hill. It's steep, and from the maps it doesn't look very high, but it's really high up. And there's a circle at the front of that. There's the circle. This always reminds me a bit of the round table, and I was sitting, I didn't know it was there, and I was sitting on the edge here looking over to Beacon Hill, and just in the visualization, as soon as you visualize that arc of the cup, it energetically starts to come to life. So by people not knowing it's there, they don't visualize it. But if people were walking that as a natural walkway, they'd know it was there, they would visualize it, and it would continually be pronouncing that energy, because it means something to us, in us, that shape. So the energy started happening in the chalice, and then suddenly this circle activated, and there were like, I normally see 1 or 2 energies. There was like a congregation of really strong spiritual energies, like government. They were, you know, these spiritual, very wise beings, and that just turned to a white light. They all joined together and became white light, just pouring down into the earth. For me, that is a powerful earth kind of acupuncture point there. There's just in front of that, you've got an emptied out burial mound, the church at the bottom of Beacon Hill. There's the church. This is the line going up to Chequers. There's Chequers here. This is a water line. You've got the pond here. There's also a spirit in that pond. There's a pond spirit. Chequers from the back. You can see the escarpment going up Coombe Hill there. There's a monument on the top. That's the dell. This is pointing south. We'll be sitting in there facing north into the chalice. This isn't the stem. There's another pathway around off to the side going in that very south direction. This is that village I told you about on Coombe Hill. It's a lot of water. It's always damp in here or has puddles. I think in this village they had that as the centre of the village, and I think they put wells down to encourage the water so they didn't have to drop down in the valley to get water. That's it. We're back. All right. So we always have a break halfway through these, so I'm going to talk a bit about the two things we're going to do. We'll have a break for 10 minutes and then we'll go into the meditations. So the first meditation we will be working with hand mudras, or I made one up. One is like just having your hands up to make the shape of the chalice, and then for me this is a female energy. The energy comes down and earths through the body. So we've got that shape there. We've got the prayer, which is the polar opposite. It's pointing upwards, and people hold this and speak to God, and it has that effect. It connects us upwards to the higher energies. So this one, the higher energies are talking to us and coming down through the earth. This one, we're talking to the higher energies and the energy is going up. So I'll be working with those two mudras. And for me, this is more female, this is more male. So we're working with these polarities of male and female again, and up and down. And we're going to do a meditation. I'll tell you how this, what provoked this meditation and how we're going to work with it. I had been running these videos on Chequers and walking all round and investigating it. And I think that had just been provoking the natural energies there, and it was coming up to the winter solstice. It was very close to the winter solstice, and I was just sitting in the dell, and the energies started rising in the dell the same way as if I was working with these different circles along the whole Ridgeway, and very potent, deep, dark earth energies. And it was like there was two, again, male, female, rising in the dell and communicating, but very clearly two strong, very strong, powerful energies coming up. And I realized I'd been embodying this whole site, but I hadn't worked with the dell just as a circle on its own, and it started working as a circle on its own without me encouraging it. I was just sitting there and it started off. So I put out a circle, just an imaginary circle, because the dell makes kind of a circle, so that it's contained in a way. If you put a circle around something, it's contained, so the energies in it can play and it's not dispersed so much into the air around. So these very strong earth energies were coming up, and I was thinking, blimey, this is a bit dark. They were really very strong and had quite a dark quality to them, and I was waiting for the light to come in, and it just didn't come in. These dark energies were just communicating and getting strong, and dark doesn't mean bad. It just means they got that strong earth, maybe sexual, deep, grounded energies to them. And so after a while I thought, well, maybe the light isn't going to come in, maybe it's just this. So I just sat and breathed and listened. I was being with the energies. That's all I do. I just be with them. And it grew and grew until it got quite pressurized. I was thinking, what's going on here? And then at that point, it kind of filled in this great big dome over me, and it was kind of almost popping out, and it just went whoosh, and these energies just travelled off up the ridgeway, both sides, right up to the top of the hills, and that is where they connected to the higher energies. There was the male hill connection to the high energies, the female hill connected to the high energies, and they connected to the high energies there. And as soon as that happened, the higher energies connected through the dell. It was like they all three had to work at the same time. Then these dark earth energies were playing with the light, and everything becomes much lighter. And as I said before, when these things first go off for me, the energies haven't worked for a while and suddenly they work, it is a bit kind of like an orgasm in a way. It's a bit like, to me, a bit like a Spielberg film. The tops of these hills just lit up with lights, and this whole circle and chalice, it felt as if it was a spaceship. It felt like it was rising out of the ground, and that it had this connection to the higher energies, and was going to go off. And then after a while I realized it's not like a spaceship, but it's the other way around. It's a place for higher energies and higher beings to be received into this shape, into this chalice, and to ground and connect down the stem and down into the earth in the center of the bowl, because it's not just an arc this way, it's an arc down. There's a U-shaped valley dropping into a much deeper cup-shaped valley, and it's a perfect receptacle for spiritual energies to arrive and connect with earth energies and to manifest. And you've got to remember, this was here before mankind. And in the dell, and this placement of this site for me was always to do with creation. And in the length of the ridgeway is that, I think of the ridgeway as a spine, and off in this direction it would have been Ivinghoe Beacon as the start of the ridgeway, which is like the very base chakra, and then I think you come up to the sex chakra next, or the pubic center, which would be Chequers, and then it goes through all of these other sites and ends up with Avesbury and Overton Hill being the crown chakra. Now, Overton Hill, I used to park my van there on the hill, and it's like you touching the heavens. And you go to Avesbury and there's all the crystal shops and all the hippies, including me at one time. And then you can feel the qualities of these different sites. And for me, that is Chequers. And that's why it has this potency. And when that all went off, the words were, this is a house of power. But it wasn't just talking as Chequers being a house of power, or that this is a powerful site. It was, the site is of power. There's a strength to that sexual energy. So to the pubic center there is that sexual, deep, dark earth energy. But in the pelvis, that's where creation happens. It's also got this connection to the divine. So you get the earth energies connecting with the divine energies and producing life. And that for me is the energies of Chequers there. And quite often people talk about the chalice as being representative of the uterus. And people can work with their sexual energies there and those parts of their anatomy. I can show how to work with all of the organs there and all the different energies. But it's got that very creative quality of the chalice, and it also has the male prayer shape there, so it has both. So there is this creation at that level of the pelvis and cleansing that area. And again, you have to wonder that in that place that represents as those energies. The government has fenced off the whole female side, and so that is representative of the government to me, but also representative of us. You know, we may section off our female side, we may section off our male side and not go there, and you need both. So in the next meditation we're going to be working with the prayer and the chalice to get that, and then we're not going to go through the initiation I said, but we're going to work up through the energies of one side of the chalice, and then we're going to work through a cross in front of Chequers to just start opening that line up and feel what happens in ourselves as we do it, and feel what happens in Chequers. And for me, once that line starts connecting, this much stronger energy comes through the whole Ridgeway. So we're going to start with this first meditation. We're going to work with the prayer and the chalice as hand mudras, and we're also going to spend time just moving from one side of the body to the other and going across the center line. And you'll notice, or at least I notice, when I'm working from the right to left with holographic breathing, as you go through the center line, ignites the Kundalini. And you go off to the other side, you come back, so you go through the center line, suddenly you get this release of energy through the spine. And you may feel one side of your body has one quality of energy, you may feel the other side of your body has another quality of energy, and you may feel it as female and male, or you may feel it as almost anything, but just notice that as well. Any questions before we start? Anyone want to say anything? Okay, great. So, closing your eyes, and gently dropping into the holographic breathing. As being with the holographic breathing. Oh, hang on, I just want to check something. Did I say to come back? Let me check the time. I'm wondering if I've just started too early. Did I say 46 or 48 minutes? I said, okay, we'll start. Sorry about that. So, we'll start that again. Closing your eyes. Gently dropping into the holographic breathing. Relax the back of the neck. Relax the back of the head. And then letting the arms rise into a chalice shape with the palms up. And it can be as high or low. The palms kind of in. You can have them out, but it's good to have them pointing slightly in. And gently breathing with the holographic breathing. And if it becomes painful, you can just drop them down and have the palms palm up. Is also another way of doing that. As long as the hands are in a receiving shape. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing. Holographic breathing will ignite the hand mudra. And it's fine to bring them down. You can almost have them in your lap, just palm up if it's strenuous on your arms or shoulders. Notice that quality. Notice you may be feeling you're receiving heavenly energy coming down into your body and then earthing into the ground. Having your arms in a comfortable place, not straining, the hands can come down. And then bringing the hands into the prayer shape. Now notice as they swap from one to the other, you may feel a release through your spine as you bring them together. In one way, you're moving from female to male, and as you do so, there's a release of energy through the spine, or at least for me, there's a release of energy through the spine. Notice how different this hand mudra is. It's much more central, and you can see why they use this hand mudra for prayer, because it's a bit like we're connecting up with the higher energies. In the chalice one, we're allowing the higher energies to come down into us, and in this one, this sends our energies up into the higher energies. So it could be used for speaking with the higher energies. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing, the hands together. Notice the energy that creates, and allow that also to ignite through your spine. Let that heal you. Rather than using it for prayer, allow it to energetically heal you. Gently doing the holographic breathing. The holographic breathing will ignite the hand mudra. Notice the quality of that. You may feel a bright white energy to this hand mudra. And then opening the hands into the chalice position, palms pointing in towards you. And if that's tiring on the arms or the shoulders, you can bring them down, and if that's still tiring, you can just sit with them palm up in your lap, as long as it's receiving the higher energies. This is also a hand mudra for the ovaries and testes. When it comes down either side of your head, this is like a hand mudra for the ovaries, testes, but it's also the chalice. And gently breathing with the holographic breathing. Notice the different energy. Notice it's more spread out. It's not so focused. And it's coming down through the whole of your body, both sides. And that you're much more receiving. This is a female stance. This is sitting and receiving. This is listening to God. And remembering to do the holographic breathing. The holographic breathing will ignite the energies. You can heal through your whole body or any part of your body. You can receive energies from the higher self, the higher realms, the Creator, God, whatever you want to call it. You can receive those energies, you can channel them through your body, you can let them release down into the earth, and you can allow that to heal the whole of you, or you can allow it to heal different areas of you. And then bring the hands together in the prayer. Notice as you swap from one to the other, you get this release through the spine. What you may first feel is the spine releasing, and energy moving through the spine. And then notice how different this energy is. It's much brighter, whiter, and is releasing up from us to the higher energies. Goes a lot up through the spine, the head, the crown chakra. And when that, and they both are both in a way, when that does connect with the higher self, when those energies from us do release up into the higher self, there is the response from the higher self that releases down into us. You don't get one without the other. You don't get male without female, and you don't get God without the earth, or the higher energies without the earth. They come together. Allow this one to be great for healing through your spine. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing. And let that heal through your whole body, especially through the throat, through the spine. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing. Holographic breathing will activate it and make it more potent. Rather than asking for things, use it as an energy to heal you. Divine connection with the higher realms, the earth connecting to the higher realms, and then the response from the higher realms back, balancing both. And letting the hands open into the chalice. Notice the different quality. You may also feel a release in the spine as it moves from the male energies to the female energies. There's a release in the spine, but in this the energy often is moving down the spine. It changes from moving up the spine to down the spine. And we are receiving from the higher energies. In this, the higher energies are speaking to the earth through us. They're coming down. And then after a while, as that fills, as the chalice fills, there's the response from us and the earth that also releases up into the higher self. So both are both with their different qualities and start places. Allow that energy to stream through you, gently breathing with the holographic breathing. Notice how content you can start to feel as that energy fills your cup. As your cup becomes full and starts to overflow. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing, bringing the hands back together into the prayer as it swaps from down to up and from male to female through the center line, Notice the release in the spine. You may feel this rush of energy in the spine from moving down to moving up. And here our energies release from the pelvis up through the spine, up through the head, and connect with the higher self. Let it go through the throat, let it go through the neck, let it go through the head. As it releases up from us into the higher self, releases through the crown chakra, up into the higher self, into the higher realms. You get the response from the higher realms down into you. Remember to keep doing the holographic breathing. Channel that energy. Good to use this mudra to channel energy with the holographic breathing. And then when you feel ready, just letting the hands come down and just gently breathing with holographic breathing, letting everything subside. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourselves to come back. So what we're going to do is, in the next visualization, we're going to visualize being in the dell, in those pictures that I showed you, and viewing into the chalice. So we're just going to imagine that, and sitting there and being with the energies in the dell for a while. And then we're going to spiritually or psychically or energetically just feel up from our right hand side up the hill up to the top of Coombe Hill, which is a bit like also at the same time working or feeling through the right hand side of our body. And then we're going to allow ourselves to come back to the center, back into the dell. And then we're going to extend out. It actually, this side where it goes out, it goes straight through the gatekeeper's cottage there. So it's the gate, it goes through the gate, the ancient gate into Chequers, then across in front of the Chequers house, and then up to Beacon Hill. And we're going to spend a little bit more time with that and just allowing yourself to listen. Because when I first did that, there were lots of little things needed to resolve as I worked my way through that bit of land. And you don't have to do anything with it other than listen. And we're going to slowly work up to the top of Beacon Hill. And then you may feel a connection to the rest of the Ridgeway as that all connects through there and through yourself to the Ridgeway on the other side. So we're going to open the Ridgeway, and then we'll work with the legs a bit, which will be the base energy going into the cup, and then also ground back through the stem of the cup backwards. And these relate to our energies in us. There will be an earth energy coming from behind us and grounding us, but that stem also relates to our stem dropping down into the earth. So we will be working with Chequers, or that image of Chequers, and we will also be working with it. It is a mirror of ourselves. and we'll see how it goes. And you may not experience what I'm saying, and if you don't, that is fine. Whatever you're experiencing, that is what is correct for you. Go with that. I'm just saying a general thing and what I feel, and you just be with whatever you're feeling and whatever feels okay. And I would do a little thing at the beginning, because I mean, I feel safe with it, but other people may have their, may already work with earth energies and have their own initiation when they start. So you're fine to do that in yourself, and I will just ask for the earth and the higher self to work with us. And also, I mean, I don't normally say protection, but to protect us and to only work with beneficial healing energies, so people will feel a bit safer. But you may have your own thing you wish to do in that, because we aren't just working with ourselves, we are working with the energies outside of ourselves. And once I'm happy with the place, I just sit there and let it start, to be honest. But to make the group feel safe, I will do that. But you take into account your own procedure, what you would like to do, what you would like to say, and if there's anything different, you just say that for yourself. In this, you are responsible for yourselves in that respect. So closing your eyes, gently drop into the holographic breathing. Feel your own pelvis, feel your sit bones, feel your connection to the earth, and imagine yourself sitting in that grassy dell, however you experience that and however you visualize that. And in front of you there's fields and woods dropping down into this big cup-shaped valley. So gently being with that. Up to the right of you, arcing up, there's a road, and the ridge is arcing up to the top of Coombe Hill. And there's the road there, and you can see that most of it's behind trees, but you can see it to start off with because it goes up the edge of a field. And to the left of you, again, even though you can't see it because there's woods and trees in the way, goes through the woods, across through the gatehouse, through Chequers and up to Beacon Hill. And notice if that side seems a little bit taboo. I shouldn't view that, that's private, that's for the Prime Minister, we're not allowed to go there. Just don't do anything with it, just notice that feeling. And as you become aware of Coombe Hill, rising up to Coombe Hill on the right hand side, become aware of the right hand side of your body. Your right hand arm, it's the top of the hill, your right hand leg, the bottom of the hill. And then coming back down. And then as you become aware of the left hand side of the chalice, going up through Chequers up to Beacon Hill, become aware of the left hand side of your body, your left arm and your left leg, and notice if that has a different quality. And sitting down into the dell, feel your whole body and just asking the earth I forgot to do this at the beginning, but we're going to start proper now. Saying thank you to the earth and to the higher self for being with you. And asking the earth there in the chalice and in the dell if it's okay to be with and work with these energies there. And to ask the higher self and the earth for protection and guidance, and to just work with beneficial healing energies, energies that are beneficial for you and healing. Sitting into the dell and be aware of those qualities of the dell, what they feel like. And a bit like the dell is a circle. And sit into the earth there and allowing the qualities, whatever it may be, to rise up as healing energies. And as they rise up in the dell, your healing energies rise up in you. And there's a communication between the two and a healing as we connect with the earth. They're very healing energies, the energies in that dell. Just be with that. Let that run through your body. Relax into that. And those energies rise in the dell. They also rise through you. They may rise through your head. They may release through the top of the head. It's a very grounded place, this dell. Breathing with the holographic breathing, being with those energies, those earth energies of the dell. And it may or may not connect with the higher energies. Relaxing through your whole body, just breathing and allowing them to energetically communicate with you, and if you wish for you to energetically communicate with them, you may seal things, you may feel things, you may see things, whatever you're feeling or seeing, that's fine, and the holographic breathing somehow helps this to work. And then from the dell, with that energy, slowly start working up around from the right hand side, slowly working up to the ridge, allowing your energy to go with it, and talk with the trees and the ridge as it moves up to the right hand side. And you may feel it start releasing out through the right hand side of your body, the right hand arm, the right hand leg, as you energetically work up around the right side of the chalice, up to the ridge on top of Coombe Hill. And you may notice as you get to the top of Coombe Hill, the energy gets much brighter, more spiritual. Feeling that through your hands and feet. So you're still sitting in the dell, and when you get to the top of Coombe Hill, you may feel a release in your hands and feet. You may feel a release through the top of your head. This brings in the light from the top of Coombe Hill and releases a light in the dell as well. Notice how the energies change when you get to the top of Beacon Hill. You may feel your hands and feet more strongly. You may feel the top of your head more strongly. And then slowly making your way back down towards the dell where you're sitting, letting your energy come back to the dell, and you may feel your energy moving back in from your arms and legs into your body until you've come back to the dell, and then letting it come central in your body, and notice how it starts going through your spine. You may get a release through your spine, through your head, as you move from the right hand side of your body into the left, and we'll stay in that central point for a little bit. Let the spine release, let the head release, and then moving into the left hand side of the body, feeling the energies through the dell and through your body, through the left hand side of the dell and also the left hand side of your body, and start extending out across the road through the gatekeeper's cottage. So you're aware of this very grounded energy in the dell. It has a connection to the higher self now, through the top of your head and into the dell, now that it's been initiated from Coombe Hill, and we're going to go up and get the other one from Beacon Hill now. Going through the gatehouse, and notice if there's a bit of, "Oh, I shouldn't go there." I get that feeling and I just allow myself to go there anyway. And we're starting to move out across Chequers land. For me, this is a lovely, lovely energy, this area, as it goes down in front of Chequers building there. Allow that to become not private anymore, not taboo anymore. That land cannot be owned, belongs to everyone, especially the Ridgeway and the sacred sites. And just gently walking or extending across that area in front of Chequers very slowly, and allowing it to communicate back. So this area starts getting some communication. Notice what this feels like through the left hand side of your body, and your left arm and your left leg. So we're moving across the lawn. We kind of come to the corner of Chequers and across in front of the Chequers house. Notice the quality of this energy, and being aware of the left hand side of your body, your left arm and your left leg. And then we've come across the lawn, and we're kind of starting to go up the ridge towards Beacon Hill. We're spending a little bit more time, and allow those energies to speak with you of the ridge through Chequers. This is the Prime Minister's holiday home. It rises up the ridge further and further onto the top of Beacon Hill. So you come to the edge of that and you slowly move up onto the top, and notice when you get to the top you may feel a release through the top of your head and your left hand and your left foot. And also extend a bit out through the ridgeway on that side, down the other side of the prayer, and allow that to connect with the rest of the ridgeway. So there's a human connection right through Chequers now. That magic between humans and the land exists now across Chequers land. It can freely move up and down the whole Ridgeway, which is 90 miles long energy line. Notice what that feels like. Notice what that feels like through your body. Both ways it releases off down towards Avebury on your left hand side, and it releases towards Ivinghoe Beacon on your right hand side. So letting that connection still stay open and be with you, and you can allow your gaze to come back along that line, back into yourself, onto your center line. You may feel a release through your spine, sitting into this very grounded energy in the dell, and extended both ways to Beacon Hill and Coombe Hill, and these higher energies releasing in through the tops of those hills. Notice how after a while those tops of those hills start receiving spiritual energy. It's a bit like a port. And the tops of Coombe Hill and Beacon Hill receive spiritual energies and spiritual beings. And they come down into the chalice. And also it works the other way. Earth energies can release up through the chalice and can release up into the higher realms. So it's like a portal for higher energies to arrive, like the chalice mudra, and for lower energies to release up into the higher energies, like the prayer. And this starts to ignite, and we're sitting down into the dell, which is like the pelvis, it's creation. And there's a grounding through your legs, which is the lower side of the ridge on both sides, through your pelvis, which is sitting into the dell. And there's the stem behind you, running back from you, which is a grounding energy. And this also represents an energy releasing from your pelvis deep into the earth. So it's like a machine, it's like a portal, it's like a receptacle, like a harbour. And it is the shape of the chalice, which has a lot to do with the pelvis, and it is the point in the ridgeway that is the pubic centre. So it's to do with the womb, with the ovaries, with the testes, with the prostate, with the sexual organs. It is that, the vagina, the penis, it's the whole of the sexual organs. It's that area of creation. When we let the earth energies connect with the higher energies, and the male energies connect with the female energies, so we have a free movement up and down, the free movement side to side, then we are enacting creation. It's enacting in ourselves. And sitting into the dell here is sitting into our pelvis, deeply healing for the pelvis, the sexual organs, deeply healing for us, and it's through all of us, the whole body. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing, allowing yourself to heal, and feeling it in the earth around you, mirrored in this giant chalice at Chequers, and keep remembering to open up through that left hand side, not allowing that to become private again, letting the Ridgeway connect, letting your own creation connect. And this shape and the Ridgeway was here a long time before we were. And for me, this is a shape for the creation of life on earth, where energies may receive and go home from the earth that are to do with creation and the evolution of creation of plants, animals, beings, mankind. This is a portal for creation, for heavens to meet earth, and earth to meet heavens, and the divine spark of life that comes about in us and in our pelvis, in our sexual organs, that divine connection of the earth, the universe and the higher realms, that gives life, and the manifestation of life as a mirror of God, of the higher realms, of the earth, of the chalice and the prayer. Allow that within yourself. Allow yourself to gently breathe with the holographic breathing. Allow yourself to feel the geometry of the chalice at Chequers and the prayer at Chequers, and also feeling that mirrored in yourself. Gently breathing with the holographic breathing. And when you feel ready, slowing the holographic breathing down, letting everything become much softer, allowing the energies to come back into yourself. And sending a thank you to the earth, sending a thank you to this chalice at Chequers, and the prayer at Chequers. Sending a thank you to the higher self, the creator, or whatever you wish to call that. And sending a thank you to yourself for joining in, and the whole communication between you, the earth, the higher self, and this chalice. And then letting the energies go back to the earth for love and healing. Letting the energies go back to the higher self for love and healing. Letting the energies go out to all sentient beings for love and healing. And you are a sentient being. Allow yourself to be loved and healed. And when you feel ready, gently allow yourselves to come back.